Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. I'm really glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe today felt long, or noisy, or full of things that needed your attention. Or maybe you're simply someone who enjoys falling asleep to quiet thoughts about the universe rather than counting sheep. Either way, you've arrived at the right place. There's nothing you need to do now, nothing you need to solve. You can let the day loosen its grip and slowly fade into the background. As you settle in, imagine your body becoming just a little lighter, as if gravity itself has softened its hold. Your breathing doesn't need to change, but you might notice it slowing on its own, becoming deeper, more even. Time, too, can slow down here. There's no schedule in the cosmos, no urgency written into the stars. The universe has been unfolding for billions of years, and it isn't in a hurry tonight. This isn't a lesson to memorize or a story you need to follow closely. Think of it more like standing at the edge of a calm ocean at night, listening to waves you don't need to count. Cosmology, the study of the universe, doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. It can be a quiet collection of ideas, drifting past like clouds. Vastness doesn't have to feel intimidating. Mystery doesn't demand answers. Some questions are allowed to remain gently open, like books left face down on a bedside table. You can imagine the universe as a dimly lit library after hours. The shelves stretch farther than you can see, filled with stories written in light and time. Galaxies glow like slow-moving lanterns between the aisles, never bumping into one another, never rushing. And time itself moves like a tide that doesn't worry about the shore, coming and going at its own patient pace. If at any point you drift off and miss a few words, or entire sections, that's more than okay. Nothing important will be lost. The universe will continue exactly as it always has, quietly and reliably, whether you're listening or asleep. You don't need to hold on to anything you hear. Just let it pass through, the way starlight passes through space. If it feels comfortable, you might adjust your volume now, or the position you're resting in. Maybe dim the lights a little more, or close your eyes if you haven't already. And if you enjoy this kind of quiet company, you're always welcome to come back another night. You can think of this channel like a familiar place you visit when rest feels far away. Subscribing isn't a task. It's just a way of leaving a light on. In a moment, we'll begin drifting through a series of gentle cosmology facts. Each one is small on its own, like a single star in a very large sky. You don't need to connect them or remember them. Just let each idea appear, glow softly for a moment, and then fade as the next one takes its place. This is the beginning of a slow journey, and there's no need to stay awake to reach the end. The universe is not rushing anywhere. Even now, as you rest, space itself is quietly growing. Since its earliest moments, the universe has been expanding, not with force or urgency, but with a slow, steady patience. You might imagine it like raisins gently drifting apart in rising dough, or a drop of ink slowly spreading through still water. Nothing is being torn away. Nothing is collapsing. It's more like a long, gentle breath, softly exhaled, and never quite finished. Expansion, in this sense, is not about things escaping from one another, but about making room, more space, more quiet, more distance where nothing needs to happen at all. And as the universe stretches, it carries its contents along with it, including vast, glowing islands of light we call galaxies. Every galaxy is like an ancient city of stars, drifting calmly through the darkness. Each one contains billions, sometimes trillions, of stars, along with clouds of gas and fine cosmic dust. Some galaxies were already old before Earth existed, quietly rotating long before life began to wonder about them. You can picture them as lantern-lit cities seen from far away, their light steady and unhurried, or like snow globes suspended in space, complete worlds sealed inside slow-turning wheels of light. Galaxies don't need to be watched to continue existing. They keep their time patiently, holding stories billions of years long, whether anyone is listening or not. And within these vast cities, individual stars quietly go about their long lives. Stars shine for millions to billions of years, burning with a calm reliability that's almost impossible to imagine. Some have been glowing since before Earth learned to breathe, their light traveling patiently across space to reach us now. A star's patience is vast. It's like a campfire that lasts longer than entire civilizations, or a nightlight left on for eons without flickering out. Each star slowly turns fuel into light, never hurrying, never wasting energy. Their heartbeats, if they could be heard, would be so slow they'd feel almost still. And yet, stars rarely shine alone. They often form alongside others, born together and drifting through space as gentle groups. Some stars prefer company. Many are gathered into star clusters, moving together through the galaxy, softly bound by gravity. These clusters drift like schools of fish gliding through dark water, each star keeping its place without crowding the others. You might imagine fireflies floating through a summer night, or leaves carried side by side along a slow river. There's no pushing, no collision, just quiet cooperation. Gravity gathers light, the way calm water gathers leaves, allowing stars to remain close without ever feeling confined. And the same gentle force that holds star clusters together is at work everywhere in the universe. Gravity is the universe's gentle organizer. It doesn't shout or shove. Nothing in space is pushed. It's quietly invited. Gravity waits. It allows planets to orbit stars, stars to gather into galaxies, and galaxies to drift together in clusters. You can think of it as a slow dance partner, guiding motion with a barely noticeable touch, or a soft hand steadying a child without pulling them along. Invisible threads seem to hold everything loosely in place. Gravity doesn't rush outcomes or demand precision. It simply shapes paths over immense spans of time. And as gravity works, it does something even more subtle. It gently bends the very space through which everything moves. Space itself is softer than it looks. According to our best understanding, massive objects like stars and galaxies can curve space and time around them. You might imagine a heavy book resting on a blanket, causing the fabric to sag just a little, or silk draped over a sphere, forming smooth, graceful curves. Even emptiness can bend, like ripples spreading across a still pond. The universe is not rigid or sharp-edged. It yields. It responds. Space gently adapts to what it holds, allowing motion to follow curved, natural paths. And just as space can bend, so too can time, flowing a little differently depending on where you are. A thought we'll drift into soon. Time does not tick the same everywhere. In the universe, time can stretch or slow depending on gravity and motion, flowing a little differently from place to place. You might imagine clocks drifting at different speeds, none of them wrong, none of them rushed. Or honey flowing more slowly in the cold, thick, and unhurried. In some corners of the cosmos, time itself seems to linger, like a lullaby drawn out in the dark. This flexibility can feel reassuring. There is no single, strict rhythm the universe demands we follow. Even cosmically, there is room to move slowly, to pause, to rest. And if time can bend and stretch so gently, it invites us to think about just how long the universe has been here, unfolding at its own pace. The universe has been here a very long time, 8 billion years, a number so large it almost dissolves into feeling rather than measurement. You can think of it like a very old book with more pages than can be counted, or the rings inside an ancient tree, each one marking a quiet year. Before Earth, before stars like our sun, time was already unfolding, calmly and continuously. This great age doesn't need to feel overwhelming. Instead, it can feel soothing, like knowing a candle has been burning quietly for eons, steady and dependable. And traces of those earliest moments are still drifting through space today, gentle reminders of the universe's beginning. The universe still hums with its earliest memory. The cosmic microwave background is ancient light, released when the universe was very young, and it still fills space today. It's like a fading echo in a vast canyon, or the warmth lingering from embers after a long-gone fire. Some light has been traveling since the beginning, moving patiently across billions of years to reach us. This background glow can be imagined as a lullaby the universe never stopped singing. Soft and nearly silent, woven into the darkness itself. And just as echoes fade into quiet, this ancient light reminds us that alongside memory, the universe also holds deep, comforting silence. The universe is mostly quiet. Despite all the stars and galaxies, most of space is vast emptiness. Between galaxies, there is almost nothing at all. You might picture long pauses between notes in music, or snowfields untouched by footprints, or the still air that lingers between slow, steady breaths. This emptiness isn't lonely, it's restful. Space leaves room to breathe, room for distance, room for calm. Nothing fills every corner, and nothing needs to. Yet even within this quiet emptiness, unseen influences continue their gentle work, shaping what we do see. Something unseen is holding the universe steady. Dark matter cannot be seen directly, but its gravity quietly shapes galaxies and keeps them from drifting apart. It's like invisible scaffolding supporting a great structure or a hidden current beneath calm water, guiding motion without ripples on the surface. Wind-shaped sand dunes without ever being seen. And dark matter works in much the same way. Not everything real needs to be visible to be supportive. This unseen presence reminds us that stability doesn't always announce itself. And beyond even this quiet influence, there may be another, even softer force at work. The universe may be softly urged to grow. Dark energy is thought to be responsible for the universe's expansion, gradually speeding up over time. Rather than a shove, it's more like a subtle tailwind or a slow tide pulling everything gently outward. Expansion itself seems to be accelerating, but without urgency or noise. It's a calm continuation, a quiet encouragement rather than a demand. The universe keeps making room, stretching farther and farther, carrying galaxies along with it. And as distances grow, they naturally lead us to think about what lies within our view and what remains beyond it. The universe has a horizon. Because light travels at a finite speed, there are limits to what we can see. Some places are simply too far away for their light to ever reach us. You might imagine distant hills hidden by fog, or a lantern that only lights part of a dark path. Beyond that gentle glow, shores fade quietly into darkness. The unknown doesn't need to feel unsettling here. These unseen regions are not lost or broken. They're simply untouched by our view. Mystery is allowed to exist without explanation. And even what we can see often arrives from far away in time, carrying stories from the past. Every telescope is a time machine. When astronomers look deep into space, they see objects not as they are now, but as they were long ago. Light carries memories. It's like old photographs arriving late in the mail, or postcards traveling for billions of years before reaching their destination. Some messages were sent long before Earth existed, and only now arrive quietly at our eyes. Observation becomes a form of gentle remembrance, not analysis. We aren't interrupting the past, we're simply receiving it. And these ancient views show us that galaxies, like all things, had their own beginnings. Galaxies had childhoods too. Early galaxies were smaller and simpler, slowly growing and changing over time. You can picture saplings becoming forests, or rough sketches gradually turning into finished paintings. At first, galaxies were like embers before full flames, modest and unstructured. Nothing began fully formed. Growth happened gradually, without pressure or deadlines. Over billions of years, these young galaxies gathered more stars and shape, guided patiently by gravity, and that growth depended on the quiet presence of the universe's most modest building materials. Even dust has a purpose. Tiny particles of cosmic dust play a crucial role in forming new stars. These fine grains float through space like glitter in darkness, catching faint starlight and helping clouds of gas cool and gather. You might imagine seeds resting in soil, or light caught in morning fog. Stars begin in clouds of fine grains, where small things quietly shape grand outcomes. Dust doesn't rush or demand attention. It simply exists, and over time, that's enough. These dusty clouds often grow into some of the most beautiful structures in the universe. Stars are born in quiet clouds. Nebulae are vast, misty regions where new stars slowly take shape. They can feel like cosmic gardens or painted clouds glowing softly from within. There's no sound to their creation, no sudden flash announcing a beginning. Birth unfolds gently, layer by layer, over immense stretches of time. Nebulae cradle light before it fully awakens, holding potential without urgency. And just as birth is unhurried, so too are endings in the universe, arriving naturally and without drama. Even stars know how to let go. Depending on their size, stars may fade slowly, swell outward, or quietly collapse at the end of their lives. Not every ending is explosive. Many are like campfires turning to embers, balloons slowly deflating, or lights dimming at dawn. These endings are not destruction, but rest, transformations into something new. Matter is never wasted, only rearranged. And sometimes, what remains after a star's life is something small, dense, and unusual, waiting patiently in the dark, which we'll drift toward next. Some stars collapse into something very small and very quiet. Neutron stars are the remnants left behind after certain massive stars end their lives, and they are astonishingly dense. Imagine taking a mountain and folding it carefully into a teacup, or compressing a heartbeat into a single moment. A neutron star can contain more mass than our Sun, packed into a sphere only a few kilometers wide. And yet, despite this incredible density, neutron stars are not chaotic or violent objects. They are still, calm, almost perfectly balanced. Pressure and gravity hold everything in place so precisely that nothing trembles. It's like a diamond formed slowly over time, intense, compact, and quietly enduring in the dark. The universe has its own steady rhythms. Some neutron stars rotate as they exist, sending out beams of energy that sweep through space at regular intervals. These are known as pulsars, and they behave like cosmic lighthouses, calmly turning again and again. Their signals arrive with astonishing regularity, like a slow, steady metronome ticking far beyond Earth. Some stars keep time long after they are gone, their pulses echoing through space for millions of years. There is something deeply comforting about this reliability. Even in the vastness of the universe, rhythms persist, patterns remain. Order gently hums beneath the quiet, leading us toward places where gravity grows even deeper. Black holes are not empty. They are regions where gravity becomes very quiet and very deep. Formed when massive stars collapse inward, black holes are not cosmic monsters roaming space, but still places where matter has settled into an extreme state. You might imagine a deep well, or a velvet curtain drawn softly closed, or a silent whirlpool that doesn't splash or roar. From a distance, black holes are calm neighbors in the cosmos. They don't pull everything toward them indiscriminately. Only objects that wander very close feel their powerful pull. Most of the time, black holes simply exist, shaping their surroundings without disturbance. Even darkness can be outlined by light. While black holes themselves do not emit light, the material that falls toward them often does. Gas and dust can heat up as it spirals inward, glowing brightly before crossing the unseen boundary. This creates rings and halos of light around darkness, like a fire ring encircling a shadow. Sparks circle slowly, tracing invisible paths. Black holes announce themselves softly, not with explosions, but with gentle glows that reveal their presence. Light and dark coexist peacefully here, each defining the other without conflict. And some of these dark centers are far larger than the ones formed from single stars. Galaxies often have a dark center. At the heart of many galaxies sits a supermassive black hole, containing millions or even billions of times the sun's mass. These immense objects act like still anchors, quietly influencing the motion of everything around them. At the heart of light, there is calm gravity. Stars orbit, gas flows, and galaxies remain stable, in part because of this unseen weight at their core. These centers are not threatening, they are stabilizing, like a weight holding a great wheel steady. And gravity's influence doesn't stop there. It extends outward, connecting galaxies to one another. Galaxies rarely travel alone. Gravity draws them into groups and clusters where they drift together across cosmic time. You might imagine constellations of islands scattered across a dark sea, or lanterns floating side by side through night air. These galactic neighborhoods form naturally, without planning or urgency. Gravity prefers company, gently gathering galaxies into vast communities that can last for billions of years. Togetherness exists even on the largest scales, setting the stage for sharks to decipher structures even greater than clusters, woven across the universe itself. The universe is woven, not scattered. On the largest scales, matter forms an immense structure known as the cosmic web. Galaxies trace long, delicate filaments that stretch across space, intersecting and branching like glowing spider silk. You might picture frost patterns spreading across glass, or neural networks of light quietly firing in the dark. These filaments connect clusters of galaxies, while the vast empty regions lie between them. Nothing is placed at random. Matter traces invisible threads, creating a universe that feels interconnected without being crowded. And between these threads, there is space, enormous, restful space. Some places are defined by what is not there. Cosmic voids are vast regions with very few galaxies stretching for millions of light years. They can feel like snow-covered plains untouched by footprints or silent oceans at night with no waves to mark the surface. These voids are not mistakes or gaps. They are part of the universe's design, long pauses between breaths. The universe leaves room to rest. In these regions, very little happens, and that quiet is exactly the point. Even so, space continues to expand gently everywhere, including within these calm expanses. As the universe expands, light itself is slowly stretched. Over immense distances, light waves lengthen and shift toward redder tones, a process known as redshift. You might imagine music slowing into deeper notes, or rubber bands gently pulled until they relax into longer shapes. Sunsets drifting toward night carry a similar feeling, brightness softening, energy mellowing. Light grows tired as it travels, not fading abruptly, but aging gracefully. Distance softens brightness, reminding us that time leaves its mark even on photons. And the stars that emit this light come in many forms. Not all stars burn the same way. Stars vary widely in size, temperature, and color, creating a sky rich with diversity. Some glow blue and white, hot and energetic, while others shine red and orange, cooler and calmer. You can imagine candles with different flames, notes scattered across a piano, or jewels resting in velvet darkness. There is no hierarchy here. Each star simply burns according to its nature. The sky has many temperatures, many moods, and none are wrong. These differences also shape how long stars live and how patiently they shine. The slowest stars last the longest. Smaller stars burn their fuel gently, stretching their lives across trillions of years. They are like candles burning low and steady, or slow walkers traveling long paths without tiring. Quiet endurance defines them. There is no rush to become bright or dramatic. Gentle burning can be sustainable. These stars remind us that longevity often comes from restraint, from knowing how to move slowly through time. And between the brief lives of massive stars and the endless glow of small ones, there is a familiar middle ground. Our star is unremarkable in a comforting way. The sun is a calm, middle-aged star, about halfway through its stable life. It shines steadily, without drama or extremes, like a familiar lamp that has always been there. You can think of it as a steady hearth fire, reliable and warm, never surprising. The sun doesn't need to stand out to be important. Its normalcy is what makes life here possible. With that quiet companionship overhead, we can begin drifting outward next, toward the planets that circle this gentle star. Planets begin as leftovers. Around young stars, wide disks of gas and dust slowly circle, the quiet remains of star formation. Over time, these materials begin to gather, clumping gently, never hurried. You might imagine pottery spinning slowly on a wheel, or dust settling at the bottom of still water, grain by grain. Rings of matter gradually become something solid, something distinct. What remains often becomes something new. Nothing is wasted in the universe. Old material is simply given another role, another shape, another long future. From these patient processes, planets take form, each one shaped by how much material it gathers and how close it stays to its star. Some planets grow large and light, becoming worlds made mostly of air. Gas giants, like Jupiter, are composed almost entirely of thick atmospheres, with no solid surface to stand on. They are more sky than soil. You could imagine floating clouds piled layer upon layer, stretching downward endlessly, or vast blankets of air wrapped around invisible cores. These planets are deep rather than firm, places of pressure and motion instead of ground and stillness. Their beauty lies in their weightlessness, in storms that swirl without edges. Encircling these giant worlds, gravity often gathers many smaller companions. Planets rarely travel alone. Across the solar system, moons are common, quietly orbiting their parent planets like companions walking side by side. Some are large and round, others small and irregular, each with its own story. You might picture them as nightlights glowing gently, or pebbles caught in slow, circular paths. Moons don't dominate or resist. They simply share space, moving together through time. Orbit here is not control, but companionship, a shared motion that continues night after night. And on some of these moons, beneath cold surfaces, surprising possibilities may be quietly waiting. Some oceans are tucked away. Certain moons, like Europa, are thought to hide vast oceans beneath thick shells of ice. These are seas sleeping under frozen blankets, heartbeats beneath layers of cold. Though sunlight never reaches them, warmth may still exist below, generated by gentle gravitational flexing. Hidden warmth in winter. These buried oceans don't rush to reveal themselves. They simply exist, holding potential without urgency. The idea that liquid water could remain sheltered in such distant places invites calm curiosity and leads naturally to something even more familiar. The universe knows water. Water molecules have been found drifting between stars, embedded in clouds of gas, and locked inside comets and planets. Even space carries traces of what we recognize. You might imagine mist between stars, or dew resting on cosmic grass. This familiar substance appears again and again in places both near and unimaginably far. Water becomes a quiet thread of continuity, linking distant environments to something deeply known. And wherever water appears, thoughts of life gently follow, not as certainty, but as a patient question. The universe has not answered yet. There is no confirmed evidence of life beyond Earth, though conditions that might allow it appear in many places. This uncertainty doesn't need to feel unsettling. It's like a light left on in another room, or doors gently closed, not locked. Some questions are allowed to stay open. The universe isn't obligated to explain itself all at once. For now, Earth remains our only known example of life, and it exists not in isolation, but as part of something much larger. Earth has many addresses. It is part of the solar system, which belongs to a galaxy, which drifts within the wider universe. You might imagine nested dolls fitting neatly inside one another, or rooms inside a vast, quiet house. Home exists on many scales at once. Earth is not isolated or lost. It belongs to a layered cosmic family. Each level supports the next, creating a sense of belonging without making any single place the center of everything. And within this larger structure, Earth is never truly still. You are moving, even while resting. Earth spins gently on its axis, orbits the Sun, and travels along with the Milky Way through space. This motion doesn't feel like movement because it is smooth and constant, like a sleeper carried on a train or a boat drifting down a calm river. Stillness can include motion. Nothing jolts or rushes. You are already in transit, held safely within overlapping paths that require no effort from you at all. These steady movements shape familiar patterns, including the slow turning of the seasons. The year gently tilts back and forth. Earth's axis leans slightly, and this quiet tilt creates the seasons. As our planet moves around the sun, light falls unevenly across its surface, like a leaning lamp casting longer shadows, or a nodding head shifting perspective. Seasons are a slow sway, predictable, and patient. There is no sudden change, only gradual transitions from warmth to cool, from light to dark. These rhythms repeat year after year, creating comfort through expectation. And beyond seasons, even larger cycles continue their calm repetition. Space prefers patterns. Orbits are stable, repeating paths that objects follow through space. Planets circle stars, moons circle planets, all moving along grooves worn into time. You might imagine circular lullabies or familiar walking paths traced again and again. The universe repeats itself calmly, not because it lacks imagination, but because balance feels good. Repetition here is reassurance, a promise that tomorrow will resemble today in gentle ways. Sometimes, these repeating paths align with one another, creating even deeper harmony. Planets can fall into rhythm. Gravitational resonance occurs when orbits line up in simple ratios, like musical harmonies or pendulums syncing side by side. Dancers find tempo without instruction, and planets do the same. Gravity enjoys music. These rhythms aren't planned. They emerge naturally from motion and time. Harmony appears without intention, woven quietly into the structure of space. And these repeating patterns are not limited to orbits alone. They echo throughout the cosmos. The universe has a pulse. From the steady beat of pulsars to the slow turning of galaxies, everything moves in time. Waves lap unseen shores, stars flicker. Space itself seems to breathe, expanding and stretching in a rhythm far too slow to notice moment by moment. Everything moves and everything rests, in cycles layered upon cycles. Rhythm becomes a lullaby here, one that doesn't need to be followed or counted. It simply continues, inviting the mind to drift gently into the quiet that follows. Before we continue, you can let the ideas soften and loosen. There's no need to follow anything closely right now. Just notice your breathing as it is, without trying to change it. In and out, slow and quiet, like waves you don't need to watch. If the facts you've heard already begin to blur or slip away, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to remember them. Imagine yourself floating gently, as if carried on warm water or drifting through a dark, peaceful sky. The universe continues its calm motion, whether or not it's observed, whether or not it's understood. And when you're ready, you can let a little curiosity return, not as effort, but as passive listening, like sound passing through a dream. Light can't quite decide what it is. Sometimes it behaves like a wave, spreading and rippling through space, and other times it acts like a tiny particle, arriving in small packets. The universe allows two truths at once. You might imagine ripples on water suddenly turning into grains of sand, or moonlight breaking into countless sparks. Light can be a song and a whisper at the same time. There's no need to resolve this or pin it down. Ambiguity is built into reality itself. Light simply responds to how it's observed, adapting without complaint. And this flexibility hints at something deeper, that the universe, at its core, may be softer and more adaptable than it appears. The smallest things are the least certain. At very tiny scales, particles don't behave like solid objects at all. Instead, they act more like probabilities, spread out like mist rather than fixed points. You might picture dice rolling gently in the dark, never fully settling, or possibilities drifting like pollen in still air. Reality softens as you look closer. This uncertainty isn't chaos or disorder. It's more like a blur, a gentle lack of sharp edges. Things don't need to be exact to be real. And these quantum behaviors don't stay confined to the smallest scales. They quietly influence the atoms that make up everything else. Even solid things are mostly space. The building blocks of matter consist largely of empty space, with tiny particles separated by vast distances relative to their size. You can imagine miniature solar systems or dust motes floating in a sunlit cathedral. Solidity is, in many ways, an illusion created by balance and motion. Emptiness holds everything together. There is far more room inside matter than we ever feel. This lightness exists everywhere, unnoticed beneath the surface of daily life. And when we step back from atoms and begin to look at larger scales, the rules shift once again. Perspective shapes understanding. The universe behaves differently depending on the scale you're observing. What matters for particles doesn't always matter for planets, and what shapes galaxies doesn't apply to atoms. It's like zooming in and out on a map, or comparing ants to continents. Whispered details give way to wide landscapes. Size changes the rules, and that's not a failure of understanding. It's part of how reality works. No single viewpoint tells the whole story. Each scale offers its own quiet truth. And when we zoom all the way out to the beginning, we find a moment when scale itself changed dramatically. The universe grew up very fast. In its earliest moments, it may have undergone a period of rapid expansion known as cosmic inflation. Space itself stretched incredibly quickly, like a balloon inflating in an instant. You can think of it as a sudden stretch followed by calm, or a sharp gasp before a long, slow exhale. After this brief urgency, the universe settled into a gentler pace, expanding steadily ever since. That contrast between early speed and lasting stillness can feel comforting. And this early stretching left behind tiny variations, subtle marks that would shape everything to come. Big things began very small. In the early universe, tiny differences in density, barely noticeable at the time, slowly grew under gravity's influence. Small ripples became waves. Wrinkles deepened into mountains. Seeds turned into forests of galaxies. The universe grew from tiny differences, patiently amplifying them over billions of years. Nothing needed to happen all at once. This gentle growth reminds us that beginnings don't need to be dramatic to matter. Even the smallest fluctuations, given enough time, can become entire worlds of light. Nothing in the universe is truly finished. Galaxies, even after billions of years, continue to slowly change their shapes and structures. Their evolution is so gradual, it's almost imperceptible, like clouds reshaping themselves over an afternoon, or rivers carving valleys grain by grain. You might imagine a painting that never quite dries, always subtly shifting. Change in the universe is rarely sudden. It unfolds quietly, without announcement. This kind of slowness can feel comforting, a reminder that transformation doesn't need force or urgency. And sometimes these changes happen not in isolation, but through gentle encounters between galaxies themselves. Galactic collisions are surprisingly quiet. When galaxies pass through one another or merge, their stars usually don't collide at all. Instead, the galaxies overlap like ghosts passing in the night, or schools of fish drifting through each other in dark water. Fog banks slide together and slowly become one. Even crashes can be graceful when they unfold over millions of years. These encounters are more like slow dances than impacts, guided by gravity and patience. And within these vast interactions, something new often begins to form. From meeting comes creation. When galaxies interact, their clouds of gas can compress slightly, becoming dense enough to form new stars. You might imagine sparks created by gentle friction, or fresh flowers appearing after rain. Pressure turns mist into light. These newborn stars don't arrive with noise or drama. They ignite quietly, adding new warmth to their galactic homes. Encounters that seem like endings become beginnings instead. And as these stars live out their long lives, they begin preparing something even more enduring. Stars are element makers. Deep within their cores, stars fuse lighter elements into heavier ones, slowly and steadily. You can picture cosmic kitchens where ingredients simmer for millions of years, or furnaces humming quietly without flames. This is slow alchemy, turning simple beginnings into richer matter. Everything solid began in light. The elements that form planets, oceans, and bodies were carefully prepared inside stars long before they were ever needed. And when certain stars reach the ends of their lives, they share what they've made. Endings can be generous. Some stars conclude their lives by scattering their newly formed elements back into space through supernovae. These moments are not just destruction, but distribution. Seeds are thrown to the wind. Dandelions release their fluff. Ash nourishes soil for future growth. Stars share what they've made, enriching the surrounding space with the ingredients for new worlds. This giving continues long after the star itself has faded, and those scattered elements eventually become part of planets, atmospheres, and living things. You are made of old light. The atoms in your body were forged inside ancient stars that lived and died long before Earth existed. Stardust is woven quietly into skin and bone. Ancient light has come to rest here after a very long journey. There's no need for grandeur in this connection. It's gentle, ordinary, and calm. Your atoms remember stars not as something distant, but as something familiar. And as we widen our view again, we return to the vast stretches of time that carry everything forward. The universe is never in a hurry. Cosmic events unfold over spans of time that are almost incomprehensible. Millions, billions, even trillions of years. You might imagine clocks with incredibly slow hands, or mountains growing grain by grain. These are calendars without pages, where change is measured in patience rather than moments. Time moves differently on the largest scales, and that slowness can feel deeply comforting. Nothing is expected to happen quickly. Nothing needs to resolve by morning. And yet, Humans have found gentle ways to understand this vast timing. Light keeps the universe's diary. Astronomers use the travel time of light to measure distances and ages across space. Each photon becomes a tiny timekeeper, carrying information about when and where it began. You can imagine footsteps counted in glow, or a clock made of brightness itself. Distance is written in time. Looking farther means looking deeper into history, not by force, but by quiet observation. Measurement here isn't control, it's listening. And as these observations accumulate, they reveal a universe with a long and layered story. The universe has chapters. Cosmologists describe its history in broad eras, like radiation-dominated beginnings, matter-filled Middle Ages, and a future shaped by dark energy. These eras are like acts in a quiet play, or seasons that last billions of years. Each era has its own mood, its own rhythm. History becomes storytelling on the grandest scale. Nothing is rushed from one chapter to the next. Transitions happen slowly, allowing each phase to fully unfold. And right now, we find ourselves in one of the calmer parts of the story. The universe has quieted down. Compared to its energetic beginnings, the present era is cooler and more stable. You might picture embers glowing after a fire, or evening settling in after a busy day. It's like a house creaking softly as it relaxes at night. This is a peaceful chapter, one where structures can persist and systems can remain balanced for long stretches of time. The cosmos feels settled, unhurried, and steady, a fitting environment for rest. Some lights are in no hurry to go out. Certain stars and galaxies may persist for trillions of years, shining gently far into the future. You can imagine lamps left on overnight, or echoes that linger long after the sound has faded. The universe plans far ahead, without deadlines or urgency. Longevity exists without obligation. These enduring structures quietly continue, even as conditions slowly change. And eventually, change does return, just as gently as everything else. The universe may grow quieter with time. In the distant future, stars will fade, galaxies will dim, and space may grow darker. You might imagine a library after closing, or campfires burned down to ash, or snow falling on sound itself. This silence isn't empty or sad. Darkness can be peaceful. It's a kind of rest, a long exhale after a very long story. And in that quiet, nothing is lost. Everything simply settles into stillness, preparing us for the next gentle pause. You can let yourself sink a little deeper now. Imagine floating in dark, warm space, supported on all sides, as if the darkness itself were soft and padded. There's nothing you need to remember from what you've heard, nothing to hold on to. Thoughts can drift away on their own, like stars slowly fading from view. The universe is calm, steady, and endlessly patient. It has all the time it needs. You are not required to follow the words closely. They can simply pass by, like distant light. And even as everything grows quieter, gentle cosmic processes continue, unfolding slowly in the background. whether anyone is watching or not. Even emptiness isn't completely empty. What we often call empty space is not truly nothing at all. Vacuum space still holds subtle energy, tiny fluctuations that appear and disappear quietly. You might imagine a quiet room humming softly, or still water with faint ripples spreading across its surface. Even silence seems to carry a breath inside it. Space rests, but it still exists, gently active beneath the surface. This idea turns nothingness into presence, not a void to fear, but a soft background where things can happen slowly. And this quiet energy connects naturally to one of the most subtle influences shaping the universe today. Most of the universe is something we barely notice. Dark energy is thought to make up the majority of the universe's total energy, quietly influencing how space expands. It doesn't shine or clump or announce itself. It's more like a background hum or a tide that never stops pulling outward. The largest influence is the quietest one. There is no aggression here, no sudden force, just a constant, unseen presence guiding the universe's long-term behavior. And as expansion continues, it gently reshapes what we are able to see. The edge of what we can see is not fixed. As the universe expands, cosmic horizons slowly change, altering which regions remain observable. You might imagine shores moving farther away, or fog thickening just enough to hide distant hills. Lantern light shrinks gradually, not abruptly. The universe gently hides more of itself over time, not as a loss, but as a soft fading. Mystery returns without drama. What slips beyond view isn't gone. It simply drifts beyond reach. And as horizons change, the future paths of distant galaxies become clearer. Some galaxies will quietly drift away. Over vast stretches of time, faraway galaxies may move beyond our observable horizon, their light never reaching us again. It's like boats disappearing over the sea, or lights dimming slowly in fog. Friends wave goodbye without sadness, knowing distance can be gentle. There is no tearing apart here, only gradual separation. The universe allows space to grow between things without conflict. And while distant galaxies fade from view, others remain nearby, held close by gravity's steady hand. Some things stay close. Despite cosmic expansion, nearby galaxies remain gravitationally bound to one another, continuing their shared journey through time. You might picture a small circle of lanterns glowing together, or hands still holding even as the room grows cooler. Gravity keeps familiar company. This closeness offers comfort, a reminder that not everything drifts away. Some structures persist, maintaining their quiet relationships for billions of years. Yet even within these stable gatherings, change continues, especially in the slow rhythm of star formation. The universe will stop making new stars. Over time, galaxies will gradually run out of the gas needed to form them. Creation gently winds down. You can imagine a fire using its last logs, or a kitchen closing for the night, or lights turning off one by one in a quiet building. This is not an abrupt ending, and not a sad one. It's an evening mood, a natural settling. The universe doesn't rush this transition. It allows warmth to fade slowly, preparing space for long-lasting remnants and deep, peaceful quiet. The smallest stars are the most patient. Red dwarf stars, small and cool compared to stars like our sun, can burn steadily for trillions of years. They sip their fuel slowly, never flaring brightly, never rushing toward an ending. You might imagine a candle with an endless wick, or a nightlight that is never switched off, glowing quietly in the corner of a dark room. These stars don't demand attention. They simply endure, warming their surroundings with gentle consistency. Some lights refuse to hurry. In a universe that often stretches across unimaginable spans of time, red dwarfs feel especially calm, offering long stretches of stability to anything that happens to orbit them. Some planets never turn away from their stars. Worlds that circle close to red dwarfs may become tidally locked, always showing the same face to their sun. One side experiences endless daylight, while the other rests in constant night. Between them lies a gentle twilight zone. You might picture eternal sunsets or a world half asleep, warmed on one side and cooled on the other. Day and night blend together without sharp boundaries. Time feels softened here, stretched into a quiet stillness. And on such worlds, the way heat moves through air becomes especially important. Air can share warmth. Planetary atmospheres have the ability to move heat from one region to another, smoothing extremes and creating balance. Winds carry warmth like blankets wrapped evenly around a resting body. You can imagine a warm breath in cold air, spreading comfort without intention. Balance can emerge naturally, without planning or design. Atmospheres don't think or decide. They simply respond. This quiet redistribution of energy can make harsh environments gentler, linking directly to questions about where life might or might not find a place to rest. Life is not all or nothing. Habitability exists on a spectrum, not as a simple switch flipped on or off. Conditions for life vary gradually, like dimmer switches or twilight zones rather than bright lines. Suitability comes in shades. Some places may be almost welcoming, others barely supportive, and many somewhere in between. This uncertainty doesn't need to feel frustrating. It's soft and forgiving. The universe allows for in-between states, where things are neither perfect nor impossible. And to explore these subtle gradients, astronomers rely on patience more than speed. Seeing takes time. Telescopes gather faint light over long periods, patiently collecting photons that have traveled for millions or billions of years. It's like placing buckets out to catch rain, or allowing eyes to slowly adjust to darkness. Details emerge not through force, but through waiting. Astronomy rewards patience. Observation becomes a kind of stillness, a quiet listening rather than an active search. And while ground-based telescopes do remarkable work, some views require an even calmer vantage point. Space offers clearer vision. Telescopes placed beyond Earth's atmosphere avoid the distortions caused by air and weather, seeing the universe with sharper clarity. You might imagine windows cleaned of fog, or still ponds without ripples reflecting the sky above. Sometimes, distance improves clarity. From orbit, stars appear steadier, galaxies more precise. There is no urgency in this clarity, no rush to interpret. It simply allows light to arrive as it is, carrying ancient stories from far away, preparing us to look even deeper into the universe's earliest moments. We can still see the universe learning to shine. Modern telescopes are capable of detecting some of the earliest galaxies ever formed, their light traveling across immense stretches of time to reach us. You might imagine candle flames flickering at the end of a long tunnel, or ancient sparks glowing faintly in the distance. These are not bright beacons, but soft memories made visible. The earliest light still reaches us, carrying quiet stories from a younger universe. In observing these distant galaxies, we aren't interrupting the past. We're simply receiving what has been patiently on its way. The universe once became clear. In its early history, cosmic gas filled space like a thick fog, absorbing much of the light produced by the first stars. Over time, that starlight changed the state of the gas, making the universe transparent. You might imagine morning fog lifting slowly, or curtains opening just enough to let daylight in. Windows clear at dawn without sound. Light reshaped the dark, not by force, but by persistence. And once space became transparent, light could travel freely across vast distances. Even light takes its time. Although it moves incredibly fast, light does not arrive instantly. It crosses space like runners moving across endless fields or messengers traveling long roads. Waves take time to reach the shore. Nothing arrives all at once. This delay gives the universe depth and memory, allowing us to see faraway places as they once were. Distance becomes a measure of time, not separation. And because light has limits, so too does how quickly information can move. Some shortcuts remain imagined. According to our current understanding, nothing with mass can travel faster than light. You might picture roads with gentle speed limits, or doors marked maybe, not locked, but not open either. The universe sets boundaries that feel more like structure than restriction. These limits are not punishments. They are part of how order is maintained. Within them, motion remains smooth and predictable, and these boundaries frame the immense distances that separate objects across space. Space keeps its distance. Galaxies are often separated by such vast expanses that they will never interact. You can imagine islands far apart across a dark ocean, or lamps glowing across an endless field. Messages are never sent, and that's okay. Separation can be peaceful. There is no crowding in the universe, no urgency to connect everything to everything else. Distance allows quiet to exist. And despite these separations, something remarkable remains shared everywhere. The universe speaks one language. No matter how far we look, the same physical laws appear to apply throughout space. Gravity behaves the same way. Light follows familiar rules. Atoms assemble according to the same patterns. It's like a shared grammar, or one song played everywhere in different rooms. Consistency travels farther than light. Unity exists without uniformity, allowing endless variation within stable rules. And after this steady reassurance, the universe invites another pause, another gentle rest before drifting onward. You don't need to hold the words clearly anymore. It's okay if they begin to blur together, like sounds heard from another room. Your eyelids may feel heavier now, as if the night itself is gently closing them for you. Stars dim without going out. The universe continues its slow, steady rhythm, whether you're paying attention or not. Nothing depends on listening. Rest is the only task, and even that happens on its own. If you drift, that's perfect. There are a few more quiet thoughts ahead, but there's no need to stay awake for them. They'll be here whether you hear them or dream past them. The universe seems to enjoy patterns. Again and again, mathematics describes physical reality with surprising grace. Numbers quietly explain reality without insisting on attention. You might imagine sheet music becoming sound, or blueprints turning into buildings, or equations humming softly beneath everything we see. There is order here, but not rigidity. Mathematics doesn't control the universe. It simply mirrors it. Patterns emerge naturally, repeating not because they must, but because balance prefers simplicity. And these patterns don't stop at one scale. They echo again and again, from the smallest structures to the largest. The universe echoes itself. Some cosmic structures resemble fractals, where similar shapes appear across different sizes. You can see this in branching rivers, fern leaves, or lightning veins splitting and splitting again. Small and large sometimes look alike. This repetition can feel comforting, like a familiar motif returning in a song. Patterns repeat not as instructions, but as reflections. The universe doesn't need to reinvent itself each time. It builds gently on what already works. And yet, these repeating shapes don't imply intention or purpose. They simply arise. Science does not demand meaning. Cosmology describes how the universe behaves, not why it exists. It offers a map without instructions, a story without a moral, a mirror that reflects without judging. Description can be enough. There's no requirement to extract purpose from equations or destinies from data. This can feel like a release. The universe doesn't place expectations on you. It simply unfolds. Meaning, if it appears, is allowed to be personal, quiet, and optional. We arrived late. Humans have existed for only a tiny fraction of cosmic time, like a final word in a very long book, or a spark at the end of a fuse. The universe waited a long time before us, and yet, being recent doesn't make us insignificant. Newness can still belong. Perspective softens urgency here. There's no pressure to catch up or to matter on cosmic scales. Existence alone is enough. And the universe, vast as it is, does not seem arranged around us. There is no cosmic spotlight. Observations show no special center to the universe, no privileged location. Every place is equally ordinary. You might imagine a field without a middle, or a song without a chorus, or a story without a main character. This ordinariness can be soothing. There's freedom in not being the focus. Nothing is demanding attention or performance. The universe simply allows everything to be where it is. Normal is quietly miraculous. The ordinary things around you, air, warmth, matter itself, arise from extraordinarily long and complex cosmic processes, like tea brewed from ancient leaves, or simple meals made from long recipes, or quiet rooms built by many hands over time. Familiar things have deep origins, and knowing that doesn't make them heavy. It makes them gentle. As we prepare for the final set of thoughts, you can let that familiarity carry you even deeper into rest. We all sleep under the same universe. No matter where you are on Earth, the stars above you follow the same physical laws, moving with the same quiet precision. Different constellations may appear depending on your location or the season, but the sky itself is shared. It's like a single ceiling stretching over the entire planet, or one song sung in different keys. You might imagine a quilt viewed from different angles, familiar yet slightly rearranged. The sky belongs to everyone. This sameness doesn't erase difference, it gently holds it. And how the sky looks at any moment depends softly on where and when you happen to be looking. The pictures are ours, not the stars. Constellations are not true groupings in space, but patterns created by perspective and imagination. We connect dots in the dark, drawing imaginary lines between lanterns scattered across great distances. We bring stories to the sky, shaping meaning out of coincidence and alignment. These figures are written in light by human minds, not by gravity. The stars themselves are unaware of the shapes we assign them. This doesn't make the stories less beautiful. It makes them more personal. And while our stories feel fixed, the stars behind them are always moving, slowly and patiently. The sky is not fixed. Stars drift gradually over thousands of years, their positions changing so slowly that it's almost impossible to notice within a single lifetime. It's a very slow dance, like ice floes separating across a frozen sea, or clouds reshaping themselves imperceptibly. Change can be too slow to notice, but it is always happening. The constellations we recognize today were different long ago, and they will be different again in the distant future. This motion doesn't disrupt the sky. It gently reshapes it, preparing it for new patterns. Even the sky evolves. Over millions of years, constellations dissolve and reform as stars continue their quiet drift. Sand patterns are erased by the tide. Chalk drawings wash away in rain. Stories are retold with new characters. Nothing stays arranged forever, and nothing needs to. This impermanence doesn't erase beauty. It renews it. The night sky remains familiar, even as it changes, reminding us that continuity doesn't require stillness. And within all this change, some events remain reliably predictable. Eclipses arrive right on time. When the sun, earth, and moon align, shadows pass across the sky in precise and gentle ways. You might imagine curtains briefly closing, or daylight pausing for a moment before returning. Even darkness can be scheduled. These events follow clear, predictable paths, repeating over centuries with calm accuracy. There is reassurance in this order. The universe keeps its appointments, and as shadows move across light, they remind us that darkness is never permanent. Darkness is not a thing. It's simply the absence of light, like a lamp turned off, not destroyed. Clouds may cover stars, but the stars remain. Eyes close, but vision isn't gone forever. Light always remains possible. Darkness becomes a kind of rest, a pause rather than an ending. In the quiet of night, light waits patiently to return, and this gentle understanding leads naturally into thoughts about the universe itself and how far it may extend. There may be no end to space. Current models suggest the universe might not have a physical edge or boundary. Instead, space could stretch endlessly, like a horizon that keeps receding as you move toward it. You might imagine a circle without an edge, or a dream without walls. The universe does not stop. This idea of infinity doesn't need to feel overwhelming. It can feel open and gentle, offering room rather than confinement. And with openness comes quiet questions, allowed to exist without demanding answers. Some ideas remain just ideas. The possibility of multiple universes exists in certain theories, but remains unproven. You can think of these ideas like rooms behind closed doors, unplayed melodies, or books not yet opened. Possibility can be enough. There's no pressure for these thoughts to become real or confirmed. Speculation can rest peacefully without resolution. And even without additional universes, the one we observe already offers more than enough vastness to rest the mind. Size beyond imagination. The observable universe stretches across tens of billions of light years, filled with galaxies upon galaxies. It's like a map too large to unfold, or a sea without visible shores. Distance layers upon distance until measurement becomes feeling rather than number. And yet, this immensity doesn't roar or overwhelm. It simply exists, quietly and steadily. Despite its size, the universe follows simple, familiar rules, gentle laws that shape everything within it. Complexity grows from simplicity. A small set of physical laws gives rise to extraordinary cosmic beauty. Snowflakes form from simple crystals. Music arises from a few notes. Patterns emerge through repetition. Beauty doesn't need many rules. Order expresses itself softly, without decoration or excess. This quiet elegance runs through everything, from atoms to galaxies. And understanding these patterns doesn't strip them of wonder. It often deepens it. Knowing more doesn't end wonder. Learning about the universe doesn't make it smaller or less mysterious. It's like rereading a favorite story and finding it richer each time, or looking at a night sky, still dark and vast, even after knowing the names of the stars. A melody can be understood and still moving. Understanding can coexist with mystery. Curiosity doesn't have to lead to restlessness. It can lead to peace. Nothing depends on watching. The universe continues whether it's observed or not. Rivers flow at night. Trees grow unseen. Stars shine behind clouds. The universe does not wait for attention or approval. This can feel like a release. You are not responsible for holding anything together. Everything continues on its own, gently and reliably, setting the tone for rest and for the final, quiet moments ahead. Space does not echo. In the vacuum between stars and galaxies, sound has no way to travel. There is nothing to carry vibrations, nothing to pass noise along. You might imagine a room padded with velvet, or snowfall absorbing every sound until even footsteps disappear. It's like a breath held forever, not tense, but peaceful. The universe is profoundly quiet. This silence isn't empty or threatening. It's protective. Nothing startles. Nothing intrudes. In space, quiet is the natural state, wrapping everything in stillness. And within that silence, something gentle remains, quietly moving across the dark. Light tells us everything we know. Because sound cannot travel through space, light becomes the universe's primary messenger. Every detail we learn about distant stars and galaxies arrives carried on brightness. You can imagine letters made of glow, messengers walking endless roads, stories written carefully in light. The universe speaks softly, in light, never raising its voice. This communication doesn't demand attention. It simply arrives, patient and steady, crossing unimaginable distances to reach us. And yet, even light does not last forever. Over time, it stretches, dims, and fades. Everything is temporary. No structure in the universe remains unchanged forever. Galaxies drift, stars burn out, and even atoms eventually rearrange. You might picture footprints erased by wind, ice melting into water, or ash settling into soil. Change is the only constant, but it doesn't have to feel like loss. Impermanence can be a release. Nothing is required to hold its shape forever. Everything is allowed to transform, gently and naturally, over long spans of time. And this acceptance of change leads to one final, comforting truth. There is no deadline. The universe does not rush its endings. Cosmic change unfolds slowly, without urgency or pressure. You can imagine a fire fading overnight, evening light dimming without ceremony, or a long goodbye that never needs to be finished. The universe takes its time. Nothing is forced to conclude suddenly. Everything is allowed to soften, slow, and settle. And in that unhurried fading, there is an open invitation to rest, to let go, and to drift into quiet. Thank you for sharing this quiet time with me. If you're still listening, or if you've drifted in and out of sleep, either way is perfectly okay. You didn't need to hear every word. You didn't need to follow every idea. The universe does not keep score, and neither do you. Just being here, even briefly, was enough. As this journey comes to a close, you can let the images soften and blur, expanding space, dim stars, slow time. They don't need to stay clear. They can fade gently, like dreams dissolving at the edge of sleep. The universe continues exactly as it always has, calm and patient, whether you're awake to hear about it or resting deeply in the dark. If you missed parts of the story, nothing was lost. The ideas will still be here another night, drifting quietly, waiting without expectation. Sleep is welcome now. Even if your mind wandered, even if you fell asleep long ago, that was always part of the plan. Rest was never something you had to earn. If you find comfort in this kind of quiet company, you're always welcome to return. You can think of this channel as a familiar place, somewhere you visit when the world feels loud or the day feels too full. Subscribing isn't something you have to do. It's simply a way of keeping this space nearby, like leaving a small light on in the distance. For now, you can let the darkness feel soft around you. Let it be padded and warm, not empty. The universe is vast, but it is also gentle. It moves slowly. It waits patiently. And within that enormous calm, you are safely small, held without effort, with nothing required of you at all. Wherever you are in the universe tonight, it's okay to rest now. Everything important can wait.